Hi everyone, Aaron here, and welcome back to the channel. David Miscavige is currently on the run. He's hiding from process servers, and I'm going to show you where they can find him. Lawyers are trying to serve Miscavige in a lawsuit that was brought in April of this year by 3 former Scientologists, 3 former Sea Org members, who are suing a number of Scientology organizations, and Miscavige specifically, over allegations of trafficking. Yesterday there was an article on Tony Ortega's blog detailing some of the problems that the lawyers in the case have been having trying to serve Miscavige. Here's an excerpt from that post. Once again, a lawsuit has been filed against the Church of Scientology and its leader, David Miscavige, and somehow Miscavige has managed to keep himself out of court by simply evading service in the case. This week, attorney Neil Glazer, who represents the plaintiffs, Valeska Paris and Gawain and Laura Baxter, asked the court for more time to serve Miscavige, since it hasn't been accomplished, and even though they've tried very hard. Glazer included a description of what they've been going through to try and find Miscavige. The filing details all the various efforts that they have made to serve Miscavige at various addresses. And the response the process servers have gotten from all the Scientologists, staff members, Sea Org members, security personnel, anybody they've tried to even talk to about David Miscavige, is essentially, David Miscavige no sabe quién es. These guys act like they've never heard of the guy, don't know who he is, never seen him or whatever. So let me show you where David Miscavige lives, where he works, where his offices are in Clearwater and in Los Angeles. Okay, so here we have Clearwater. We have downtown Clearwater here. We're going to come back to downtown later. So if we zoom out a bit, Miscavige lives over here, the Hacienda Gardens. This is where all of the Sea Org members live. So this is what the front of these buildings look like. The hedges limit our visibility, as you can see, but what I do want you to notice is that one of these sections, so you have these roof things here, one of these sections fits 4 apartments. So if we go back to the bird's eye view, you basically can see one of these blocks is 4 residential apartments. Now, where Miscavige lives in the Hacienda Gardens is up on this north side. 1 or 2 of these entire units have been renovated to just be one giant facility for Miscavige. Between 1993 and 1998, I spent over 3 years living at the Hacienda Gardens with all the Sea Org members. It was very well known that Miscavige lived over here, and one former Sea Org member, Brendan Ty, who is now out of Scientology, he has publicly stated that when he was on the RPF at FLAG, this Scientology organization in Clearwater is called FLAG, he was on the RPF. The RPF is the Rehabilitation Project Force, essentially a gulag prison camp for wayward Sea Org members. When he was on the RPF, he was part of the crew that renovated one of these blocks, the entire wing, into just a residence for Miscavige. It was at the very least taking one of these residences and turning it into Miscavige's, where he would stay when he was in Clearwater. Now, currently, I personally live right here by Crest Lake Park, and I drive by the Hacienda Gardens all the time. And a couple years ago, I was driving by here, and it was in the middle of the day when Sea Org members are not normally coming in and out of the Hacienda Gardens. And I saw a black Cadillac 4-door coupe pull out of this gate. Again, this was like, I want to say early afternoon. And there were guards standing at the side of each gate, which is not usual. And the black coupe was followed by 2 black SUVs. And my wife was in the car with me, and she goes, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Did I see what?" And she goes, "Well, the Cadillac that pulled out of there and those 2 SUVs. I said, "No." I said, "Do you think that was Miscavige?" And she said, "Yeah, I do." So I took a U-turn right here, and I followed him, and I pulled up next to him, and it was absolutely Miscavige. He was driving himself. He had his window down. He had a collared shirt unbuttoned, and he was smoking while he was driving. And I followed him. I followed him down Keene and down Gulf to Bay, all the way to the Superpower building, which is what Scientologists call this big building right here. There are massive loading doors right here for semi-trailers to come in and make food deliveries. All the Sea Org members eat in the basement of this building. So I actually got between, at various times, because it takes about 10 minutes or so to drive. Various times I got between Miscavige and the 2 cars that were behind him. And then at other times I was driving next to him to see what was going on. And his security guys were kind of freaking out and trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. So he drove with a security escort directly out of the Hacienda Gardens, which has a gate around it. Nobody can get into the Hacienda Gardens. It's very well guarded. The security staff don't stand by the sides of the gates. There's security staff posted inside, but there's cameras everywhere. There's touch sensitive detectors, sensors all over the gate. You cannot get into the Hacienda Gardens without being detected. So he leaves a secure facility and he drives with security cars following him and then pulls directly in to another completely secure facility. He drove right into the cargo bay doors and then they closed the door behind him as he pulled in. So even if process servers were watching the Hacienda Gardens full time and watching the flag building full time, there still would not be any way to personally get access to Miscavige. Now, as far as his offices, David Miscavige's personal offices are located at the top of this tower of the Superpower building. This is the very top floor of the northwest corner of the Superpower building. He has offices there. His office does also contain a small residence. Some people have speculated that maybe he's living here. There's no real reason for Miscavige to be living there, although of course it is a possibility. You also have the Fort Harrison Hotel here. The hotel is connected to the Superpower building via this bridge. Let's see what that looks like from street view. So as you can see, Miscavige has a lot of options for where he could be at any given time. If he wanted to, he could take the entire penthouse of the Fort Harrison Hotel and live there and never even have to leave any of the buildings on the Flag Land Base. The Superpower building isn't even the only building on the Flag Land Base where Miscavige has offices. The official RTC offices, and RTC is the legal entity that Miscavige is the chairman of the board of. The official RTC offices are located in this building right here. It's a rather unassuming building. It doesn't look like anything special, but these are the official offices of RTC in Clearwater. And the legal filings say that the process servers did attempt to serve Miscavige at this building. And even at this building, they refused to acknowledge that Miscavige even has offices there, or that RTC even has offices there. The other building on the Flag Land Base where RTC has official offices is what they call the Sandcastle building. This is the part of the base where the OT levels are delivered. One of RTC's main reasons for even existing is to make sure that the OT levels are being delivered correctly. Any Scientologist who's ever been to the Flag Land Base can tell you RTC has offices in the Sandcastle. So that's where Miscavige lives and works in Clearwater. Okay, so here we have Los Angeles. We're gonna zoom into L. Ron Hubbard Way in Hollywood. There's a handful of Scientology organizations that exist on this street. Scientology owns all the real estate on this street, and they convinced this city to name it L. Ron Hubbard Way like 20 or 30 years ago. So at the south end of this street, we have what is known in the Sea Organization as Main Building. Sometimes Scientology shows an image of this building shot in a way that makes it look very impressive. It is in fact a very unimpressive building. It is very much a disgusting, rundown, and ugly building on the inside, except for the part where David Miscavige lives. I spent 4 years in the Sea Organization in LA. Main Building is where I lived the entire time. Most of the Sea Org members who work on this street live in this building. The part of this building that David Miscavige lived in was this west wing of the 5th floor. Absolutely no Sea Org members were permitted physical access to that part of the floor. There is an elevator shaft right here, and there are stairwells that go from the all the way from the top to the bottom here and on here, on each sides of the building there. You could step out of this stairwell onto the 5th floor, but there was a giant glass wall with an electronically controlled door where you can only get through with special key card access. If we look at it from the other side of the building, let's see what that looks like. So this is looking onto Main Building from the west side. This little area here is called the Horseshoe, and this spot right here, or if there's a spot even closer to that, is where Miscavige would park his BMW when he was on base. When I lived on the 2nd floor, this was my room right here, and when Miscavige would be in town, he would park his new blue BMW here, and one of his staff would be out there waxing and polishing that thing every single day. So even though this floor here is above ground level, that is actually the 1st floor. So we have 2nd floor, 3rd, 4th, 5th. This entire wing of the building that was dedicated solely for David Miscavige to live in when he was on the PAC base. Now the other place that Miscavige has been reported to live in is behind the Author Services building on Hollywood Boulevard. It was reported many years ago by people who used to work at International Management with David Miscavige that Scientology purchased all of these apartments, and that Miscavige sometimes uses those apartments to live in when he's in Los Angeles. Let's see what that looks like from the street. These are the apartments that connect up directly to this building. Miscavige wanted some sort of an entrance or a tunnel created directly connecting this residence to the ASI building so that he could go from one to the other without being exposed to anybody on the outside. So let's jump over to look at RTC's official address and official offices in Hollywood, which is 6331 Hollywood Boulevard. It's called the Hollywood Guarantee Building. You can see the big Scientology sign on the top. You can see this in so many movies that are shot in Los Angeles. The top floors of this building are officially RTC offices. And whereas these might be RTC's official legal offices in Los Angeles, it's not the only place RTC has offices. Let's go back over to L. Ron Hubbard Way. I said before that one of the main reasons for RTC to exist is to make sure that the OT levels are delivered correctly. Well, on L. Ron Hubbard Way, this organization here on the south end is called the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles, and that is the only place in Los Angeles where the OT levels are delivered. RTC has offices in that building. I know from firsthand experience. I used to work in that building. This is the entrance to AOLA. As soon as you walk in, that's the reception area. RTC offices are located right here on the first floor in this corner of the building behind two separate layers of magnetically locked doors. I have never been inside the second layer of RTC doors. I've been inside the first layer of the doors, and when you want to deliver packages to the RTC reps, there's a drop box. You go in the first doors, and you actually have to open up a drop box and put it in and close the drop box, and they'll get it on the other side. Nobody is allowed to access the RTC offices other than RTC staff and senior Commodore's messengers, whose job is to basically wait hand and foot on and do anything the RTC reps want them to do. What Scientology is trying to tell these process servers, they're trying to act like RTC and David Miscavige don't have anything to do with day-to-day operations at these churches of Scientology. It is so insane. This is a really funny contradiction that exists between the propaganda that gets put out within Scientology about what Miscavige's role in with the church and how closely involved he is in everything, how closely he manages every aspect of everything that goes on at Flag, real estate decisions, ideal org openings, construction plans, what type of marble is going to be used here. And then when someone's looking for him, a lawyer, a process server, something like that, all of a sudden he's this like ecclesiastical leader who spends his time in an ivory tower, doesn't have anything to do with the organizations, doesn't have offices, doesn't show up, no one can reach him. It's pretty funny actually, and although I don't think the courts are going to find it funny. I think at this point the process server's goal is not to actually serve Miscavige, but just to prove that Scientology is lying about not ever knowing where he is, lying about the fact that he doesn't have offices in particular buildings, lying about the fact that he's not at certain locations. Oh, and check this out. Jeff Augustine put up this website yesterday, Subpoena David Miscavige. The search for an elusive cult leader, subpoena David Miscavige, submit tips on DM's location. Oh God, this is so funny. So yeah, David Miscavige is on the run. On the run from the long arm of the law. I mean, I guess he's not a fugitive yet because it's not the law that's looking for him. It's just the process servers. And he'll get served eventually, and then we'll see what shenanigans they come up with next to keep Miscavige out of these lawsuits. So we've seen where he lives in Clearwater. We've seen where he works in Clearwater. We've seen where he lives and works in Los Angeles. Eventually, these guys are going to get him. All right, everyone, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Thanks to all of you who watch until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right